Hello, my lovelies. This is Kamaria, and this is my reading journal. And I am probably just gonna do like quarterly updates, so like every 3 months in my reading journal, uh, because I was doing monthly setups and everything, and wrap ups and all that stuff, but we're not really like a booktube channel or a book journal channel, and I feel like people weren't really digging it. I mean, I wasn't really getting a lot of engagement on them, so I just kind of decided to do everything off screen because I still enjoy doing it. I'm not going to stop making a reading journal, but I'm just going to have little updates every 3 months. So I am keeping track of how many books I read. And every month has, and then this is my book bingo. Every month has a different color. So how many books I read is going to be in the color for that month, and whatever books I read to do my bingo will be in that color as well. I tried to do like a nonfiction book club, but because I'm trying to like broaden my horizons to read other books, but nonfiction, but it's not my bag. I keep trying and I keep making myself try, but I don't succeed ever. I also am doing a buzzword-a-thon, a challenge by Books and Lala, Kayla. She's a booktuber, and there are prompts, and it's fun, and I like doing it because I read a lot, and I might as well have some fun along the way. These are my monthly stats where I write down how many books, how many pages, and the average rating that I've been giving out. And then I realized, I didn't fill in March, so let's go ahead and do that on camera. I did slow everything down because the flip through itself was very short, and so I could have like proper discussions. I did slow it down quite a bit, so that's why everything's in slow motion. Slow motion. We could take our time, baby. Anyway. So I pretty much had no idea what I was doing in this reading journal. All I knew is I wanted it to be different than what I had been doing, but I hadn't really figured out the format. So each month is gonna, when we get there, each month is gonna look a little different because I hadn't figured it out yet. In my old reading journal, I would just kind of write every title, write the rating, and then just do like a collage for my favorite book of the month. But what was happening is I was starting to forget like the books I was reading and stuff. So I wanted to be able to record every single book I read. So in the first month, that's what I did. Every single book I read got like a dedicated collage page. And for some reason, I really want my books to be in order, like chronologically. I don't know why that's important to me right now, but it is. So this is January, my monthly favorites. And the stats, I was really interested in like writing down my stats, like what genre I was in the mood for, how many readers that are people of color, just how many are translated, how many, And so this is what I was doing. Every single book got a number, the order I read them, and I would write a description on every single one. But y'all, it got too much. Like, cause I read a lot. So if I read 15 books in a month and I have to do a page for every single one, I was like, that is too much. Too much. Because like sometimes I'm not inspired to just make a random collage over a book that I didn't really enjoy that much, So it's like, what's the point of me doing, this beautiful collage for something I didn't really care about, if that makes any sense. So But these were just kind of all the book spreads that I had for January. Their Vicious Games was up there with my favorites. It's basically like if The Bachelor and Squid Game were a book. It was great. It was gory. It was, what's the word? Like almost not like satire, but like it talked about like kind of classism and racism and all sorts of stuff. And it had women competing for a man, trying to kill each other, and then they just tried to kill him. It was great. I really was in my historical fiction bag, like, mood in January, so I read a lot of Viking history, like the history of England and stuff. So that was fun. It didn't last very long. And then February, I did a challenge called Blackathon, which is basically everything you read is by somebody, black or from, the diaspora. So anyone of African descent, I should say. And there are prompts and things. And so I did that. So in these like monthly stats pages, I usually put my favorite, my biggest disappointment, some stats, like what genres I read, how many, the pages, blah, 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 as you can see on the screen. But I tend to read what I want to read, which is lots of fantasy, lots of romance. I read usually predominantly LGBT romance, because straight romance is the norm. We get that in every single iteration of our lives. So I like to read different ones. And then I actually got a printer like halfway through February, so I went back later and added some book covers, but they were in spreads that were already done. So this month I still wanted to record every book I read in chronological order, but I didn't want to make a spread about everything once. So I made these little boxes with like maybe a sentence or two about how I felt about them. And then later you'll see like I just do collages of my favorite books of the month. So that was kind of like a good compromise. I still didn't end up liking it, and it's going to be different in March. And I'm wondering, like, I'm going to finally find a groove, and it's going to be like October of figuring out how to do my reading journal, because I didn't like the way I was doing it last year, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do it this year. So we'll see how it goes. So that was just kind of here are all the books I read, here's how I felt about them, and the rating. So my rating system is just kind of, did I like it? Did I love it? And that's it. I don't really do stars anymore. So my first favorite was Feybound. It's black. It's fairies. It's amazing. The world building is great. The writing was great. Sapphic love story. You get sister, dual POVs. It was just everything I could ever want in a fantasy book. Because there aren't enough black fairies. There aren't enough books about black fairies. And then this is my spread for my cover page for March, which I used my wrong stickers for. It was like a special book. So this is what I ended up doing for this month. So I actually printed out the book covers and just put my ratings, which is basically I loved it, I liked it, and it was meh. And I didn't even write like sentences about them. But March for me was like a bust of a month, because it felt like I don't know if I was in a reading slump but I was just not feeling it. It seemed like it was a chore to get through every book. I was having a hard time enjoying myself, so I didn't even care to write how I felt about the books I read, because I just did not care. That's sad. But I had a lot going on. I had sick kids. I had, stuff going on, personal stuff going on in my life. So, but I will say one of the favorite books that I did like was Before I Let Go, and by Kennedy Ryan. And man, this book made me cry. It made me laugh. And I avoided it for a long time. It's a second chance romance about a divorced couple who go through some crap, and they get divorced for a while because they were going through some crap. And then they find their way back to each other. And the hype was real in this book, so I avoided it for a long time. But the hype was well deserved. It was perfect. And then I started doing a lot of rereads because that way I know I'm gonna like the book. And that was this book, Iron Widow, which was basically not a retelling, but like a fantasy book about like the first empress of China, but put it on a different planet in these giant Gundam machines. It's kind of like Pacific Rim, but like with a badass female character. But anyway, this is my April setup. I'm going to do a challenge with reading 30 manga, which is like Japanese comics, in 30 days. But that's it. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.